pertaining to Staten Island and a local community that is in serious trouble of some come-togetherness. Staten Islanders, you have a problem. Same problem you've probably had for about 50 years, and it involves your local law enforcement apparatus. Let me be quite clear, and I don't want to say this with any implication that there is a racial component involved here, although, without saying it, we know it is. But if you are a minority in a place like Staten Island, you have a problem. You are dealing with an ingrained, I want to say, systematic racism, a bias that has been deeply woven into the fabric of law enforcement within that community. So some of you may recognize and remember me from podcasts that I had when I was advocating to try to fight for my civil rights after being violated by the Richmond County District Attorney's Office. And I'm going to go through that really quickly just to bring some of you up to speed. On December 1st of the year 2023, after a month-long trial against an ex-girlfriend of mine, I prevailed. I was the victim in this domestic violence dispute, granted a lifetime restraining order with a complete 1,000-foot stay away from this psychotic young woman who is a pathological liar. People, I thought it was over. I so thought it was over, people, that I actually reached out to a cop and prosecutors because she had criminal charges at the time. And people, I tried to drop them for no other reason than I just wanted to go on with my life. I was tired. I had been through this domestic situation with this young woman lying for almost a year. People, I was done. I just wanted her gone. I never wanted to see her again. I just wanted to forget she ever existed. However, people, she didn't want to forget I existed. She was quite focused on trying to remember me, people, because she was mad that she lost that domestic violence dispute. Not only that, people, but it turns out that me winning the domestic violence conflict against this woman caused some serious problems within the local community of Staten Island, New York. See, unbeknownst to me, the local district attorney's office had backed this young woman. They wanted her to be the victim of this dispute. People, I didn't even know it, but they wanted her to be the victim of this dispute so badly that they were willing to fabricate charges on me just to keep her credible. And I'm going to explain that to you because making the allegations I'm making, claiming that a local prosecutor's office was responsible for framing me as a serious allegation. And it's one that if I can't support, I should not say. And people, I can support this totally. I can totally support that I was framed by law enforcement officials on Staten Island. Audience, I really have no problem doing that. Because what I'm going to do, people, is I'm going to expose it. Just bear with me a second. I'm just trying to make sure that my thing is right. I mostly believe it is. I'm just trying to make sure. Okay. Okay, that's really weird. I don't know why it's doing that, people, but I don't know why my phone does a lot of weird shit, people. It just does. I try to do the best I can, working technology, people, but we do live in an age where technology seems to control all of us. So it's not much we can really do. We can just do our best to work with it and become better, more efficient people like I'm doing right now. So just bear with me 1 second because there's something I have to do, and I should be good. I think so. Public. Wow, there we go. Okay. December 1st of the year 2022. I am awarded a New Jersey lifetime final restraining order against a young woman from Staten Island who I dated for less than 6 months, people. People, dating is a part of life where you are meant to experiment. You're meant to meet new people. You're meant to find out through trial and error who works for you to move on with your life with someone who's compatible for you. I've never entered a relationship thinking that any woman that I was with, I was going to marry. Because the reality of life is you never know who you're going to marry. You don't truly know how a relationship's going to develop until you invest the time and the energy to see if this person's compatible for you. Long story short, the person I was with was not compatible for me. I was old and wise enough to see it at the time, and people, I just ended it because the truth is I just wanted it over without anyone being hurt. Because the truth, to be honest, people, the woman was my friend. I cared about her. I didn't want to hurt her. I just didn't want to be with her. People, what happened to me in the end of December of 2021, if I had known that it would consume the next 5 years of my life fighting against a pathological, complete, degenerate liar, people, I would have chosen another path. People, I swear to God, I wouldn't have broke up with that girl. I would have waited and put myself in such a position that she cheated on me, and then I could have let her think that she controlled and ended the relationship. But people, I've never been that type of person. I've always been the type of person, people, when I have a problem, if I don't like you, if I have something wrong, I'd just rather get you the hell out of my face. So people, I ended this relationship. Now, people, turns out that my ex was incredibly powerful on the borough of Staten Island. She knew the local district attorney. Her pastor was a lieutenant with clergy status who was able to manipulate himself into some position of power, despite the fact that he never investigated a case. He's never made an arrest. People, he was never a cop. He's a wannabe. He's a wannabe who used his church and used the power of his local community after the death of my late mother to gain himself a position in the NYPD, hoping that he can amass more power by being connected with the police. And for the most part, he was right, people. You'll see this black pastor in investigative conferences with the DA holding guns. People, he's never investigated a case. He's a complete pretender. He's been a pretender his whole life, people, but he's been able to fake it well. So let me get back to the story. Turns out my ex is connected, heavily connected on Staten Island, more so than me, I thought. I had just lost my mother not too long ago, people, and I really believed that a community which she could sacrifice the best years of her later life for would be decent enough human beings to allow her only son to just grieve. Okay, yeah, he was going through something, but people, no one was being hurt. No one was being assaulted. I was just breaking up with my ex-girlfriend, people. I had never touched her. I didn't do anything to her. You would think that these people who used my mother for probably 30 years of her life would have had enough love and respect for her legacy remaining, not to try to frame and destroy her son upon her death. But people, such is the nature of fake people in communities like Staten Island, where after the death of my mother, a man who claimed to be her brother, who claimed to be my uncle, worked with the racist local district attorney's office and my bullshit, complete pathological lying ex-girlfriend to frame me for domestically abusing her. Now, audience, why would this pastor do something like this to me, people? I mean, people, I've known him for 30 years. Why would this pastor lie on me like this? Well, people, sometimes time makes you privy to information that other people wish you didn't know. And that's exactly the situation that occurred with me and this black pastor. My late mother was his ex-wife's best friend. I mean, these two women were like Thelma and Louise for a decade. So now when this black pastor violated his pastoral duties, when he violated the sacrilege of marriage, when he was suspected of doing things that were not, I want to say, on the level within his church, my mother, being the completely credible and honest person she was made aware of this by several credible factors. Now, eventually, this scumbag pastor would fall from grace. He would be exposed for cheating on his wife. His wife left him, not his new wife now. She's just the upgrade to the old model. And I have nothing bad to say about her. I've never even met that woman, so I'm not going to speak bad about her because her husband happens to be a lying scumbag piece of crap. I'm not going to do that. But his ex-wife was a really devout woman of God. She was a great woman. I'm going to be honest. She's still alive, so let me not speak about her in the past tense. And I knew a lot of the stuff that he did to his ex-wife. My ex-girlfriend was a member of his church. She wanted me to go to the church, and people, I couldn't go to a church and listen to a man who I knew was capping. And for those of you who don't know what capping is, I mean that his life was not what he was representing. He was a complete fraud. And I expressed this to her, thinking, I was just talking to someone I cared about. I told her, I believe in church. I would love to go to people. I haven't been to a good church since the death of my mother. It's because I no longer have faith in the church apparatus like I used to, people. I've seen horrible things by people who claim to be people of God in the last year. And I realized the term person of God, man of God, woman of God is just that. It's a term, people. People become men and women of God based on their actions. You can't call yourself a man or a woman of God when you're doing things to hurt people, when you're lying, when you're violating your own religious credence and your own religious principles in order to aggrandize yourself or to accomplish your own goals. You can't claim to be a person of God if you're doing stuff like that. People, this is exactly what this back pastor is. And because I told my ex-girlfriend something in candor, alone, people, I didn't advertise it on the internet. I just said this to her in confidence. When I broke up with her, she used that to go tell the pastor so the pastor would have a problem with me. Because people, the pastor knew I was telling the truth about everything I had told him. So now, people, once this pastor found out that I thought this about him and I said this, people, I became a problem. I had to be eliminated. So this pastor used his position within the NYPD to I want to say, support the allegations of my ex-girlfriend. He used his own position to downplay me as the son of my dead mother, to make me seem like I was just problem person who is abusive to women. People, I've never physically abused a woman in my life. Now, yes, I may have cursed several women out, but I have never cursed a woman out who did not deserve it. And for any woman out there who thinks that a man has no right to curse at you, you should compare that in the same contrast to how you talk to men. Because see, I've noticed something, especially with black women. Black women will tell you they don't like to be disrespected. You can't call them a bitch. You can't call them out their name, but people, they call their own men, black men, horrible things. People, some of the worst names I've ever been called in my life have been by black women. And black women are the ones who do this to their own men. But in any event, so this pastor decides to frame me for, supporting, for basically being right. I went through probably the first 8 months of this situation, people. I had no experience trying to talk for myself on social media. That's not something I did. I didn't talk to police people again. Talking to police was not something I did. People, I truthfully tried to work this out without ever involving law enforcement, because as a minority male who's grown up in a neighborhood like my neighborhood, I don't trust a cop as far as I can spit a goddamn lung. I know they're liars. I know they're incredibly corrupt. I know they violate people's rights every day. And although I didn't have the legal knowledge to fight them back 5 years ago, I did have the common sense and the experience behind me to know that these people can never be trusted. And I was right, people. So let's say for about 8 months, I fought my ex-girlfriend on Staten. I did everything right, people. I used the system. I didn't go after her personally. I used the system. I used process. I didn't falsify information. People, I told the damn truth, people. And because of that, people, when I went to trial, thank God I didn't have a white man as my judge, even though he looked white. He's actually Native American. And as a Native American, he understood the plight of minorities when it comes to law enforcement and how minority men are overlooked. He understood that anger does not mean that someone's lying. Anger can indicate frustration because they're not being helped and they're not receiving the rights and the justice that they're supposed to receive. People, during the original trial between myself and my ex-girlfriend, people, I was able to prove several things. One, I was able to prove that I never physically assaulted her. Two, I was able to prove that she lied on me and that her and her family were filing false reports on me, not because I did anything to her, people, because I broke up with her. During the trial, I was able to play an audio where she admits that her mother was doing this and she didn't know why, because I had never touched her, I had never beat her. It was just simply the fact that I wanted nothing to do with her miserable, disgusting, piece of shit mother who is a horrible person and human being. People, I don't look for problems. I just wanted to stay away from this woman, and that's what I did. But see, people, I couldn't stay away from this woman and date her daughter. She refused because she needs to control her daughter's life through every segment of her daughter's life. So now her daughter has a boyfriend who's independent, who has his own car, who lives by himself, who needs her for nothing. So she can't control me to keep going with her daughter. So people, when a mother, a toxic mother, a mother who needs to live vicariously through their daughter, has to deal with a boyfriend like me who doesn't want to talk to her, who doesn't need her for anything, and who really could care less what she thinks, that man becomes the enemy. Because that man becomes the representation of her daughter finally gaining the courage and the strength to leave her I want to say her, what's the word I'm looking for, people? Her domineering presence and become her own woman. People, I had audios where the judge heard my ex-girlfriend saying this about her own mother and grandmother, how they controlled her, how they were after me because she wanted to be. I had all of this. And this judge heard it, and despite the fact that I was angry, that I was a little rude in court, people, he understood what I was going on through. People, I had been lied and totally defamed on by this woman. So people, based on the facts, based on the evidence, and people, my ex submitted 90 separate pieces of evidence, including like 40 videos. She went hard to try to win this trial. But see, people, you can't win. You can't win against someone telling the truth if you're a liar unless you lie. And see, during the first trial, she lied, but she couldn't lie that well. She needed help. So people, what's the help she got? She got a completely degenerate, disgusting, fat, nasty, just loser black woman from New Jersey. An attorney, people, who has been a loser attorney her whole life. She has no practice. She has no name, people. This bitch is a loser. But she goes and she finds this bitter black woman, her attorney, 5 kids, no husband, no probability of ever being with any of her children's father because she's just that disgusting. She goes and she finds this attorney, and she I want to use the correct word here, people. She convinces this attorney to violate her ethical duty and falsify evidence information against me to local prosecutors in New Jersey. Why, people? Because here's the truth. My ex would have never, ever won anything unless they falsified evidence on me, people. Because here's the truth. I was telling the truth the entire time. The evidence showed I was telling the truth. So what did my ex and his attorney do? They started falsifying evidence between 2 states and at least 6 counties, trying to put small cases on me in New York and different counties in New Jersey. So eventually, if they could win any of those cases, they could take the case back to the original place where she was convicted and say that I was after her. And people, it worked. It took this bitch 4 years of falsifying reports against me to finally find the right racist judge in Middlesex, New Jersey, who ignored all the evidence. People, the trial transcript even shows the damn judge wouldn't even honor the New Jersey order that protected me against her. People, every time I went to court, she was protected. Every time I went into court, people, they told me in court that my New Jersey state federally protected order wasn't valid in Middlesex County. Now, people, it was a New Jersey order of protection. It's valid throughout the entire state. How can a white judge go in there and just because the victim is a black man, he lies and tells the victim that the order is not valid in this county? So, people, my rights are violated. I spent 3 or 4 years fighting allegations I had definitively dismissed the first time before the court so my ex-girlfriend could frame me with her attorney. Now, after the arrest, I've told you all of that. We go 4 days. I won this order on December 1st. Let's go to December 5th of 2022. My ex-girlfriend was pissed she lost this trial, people. And so was the Staten Island District Attorney's Office because they had been publicly supporting her for months. People, they couldn't let me come out and notify people that I won this order and she had the order because 1, it would have embarrassed them, and 2, it would have embarrassed her. So what they did, people, even though there was an active I-card for her arrest at the time she was convicted, so just in case you understand, an I-card is a tool that the NYPD uses to arrest suspects for questioning. They can also put an I-card on you if they need to subpoena you as a material witness in a crime. Those are really the only 2 ways that you get I-cards. You get an I-card for being a suspect in a crime, or if they need to retain you for material information. It's not supposed to be used to simply arrest you like a warrant, because an I-card is not a warrant. But people, the NYPD treat I-cards like warrant. People, if you get an I-card on you, an officer is supposed to interview, to determine if probable cause exists to detain you. But they don't do that, people. They throw I-cards on you, they arrest you, and they let the judge figure it out. So like I said, on December 5th of 2022, my ex, at 4 days after she lost this trial in New Jersey, decided to go to New York and re-report all the allegations to the racist officers in the 120, the detective squad, not all of them, because they're not every officer in the NYPD is racist. Not every officer in the NYPD is biased. But we have to tell the truth here. In boroughs like Staten Island, where the majority of law enforcement officials are Caucasian Americans, especially the detectives, you will run into this, where a detective, a white detective, who is ingrained in how Staten Island operates as a borough, where they will exercise their inherent racism they've grown up with their whole lives within their jobs in the NYPD. And all Staten Islanders know this. Staten Islanders, you know your detective squad is amongst the most racist detectives in the city. We're not talking about the blue and white officers. We're talking about the people who build cases, the detectives. They have a history of being racist. The 120, the 121, the 123, the 122. People, we all know this is the truth. So people, as an African-American male who won this order of protection, Staten Island couldn't let that happen. They had to stop me before I embarrassed the order. So what did they do? They take a complaint where my ex makes, and people, I'm actually trying to obtain the body camera footage now because I know what she said during this thing because it's literally on the paper that they used to put an I-card on me. My ex files a report 4 days after the order of protection is granted, and she goes to Staten Island and tells them that charges I reported on her in New Jersey are false, and she had an order of protection on her. Now, people, let's talk about something called territorial jurisdiction, which is the jurisdiction that controls every precinct, every prosecutor's office, every state that decides to bring an action, or civil or criminal, against you. A law enforcement agency, a court, an investigative body cannot charge you with a crime that is outside of its territorial jurisdiction. You have to be charged with that crime where it happened by the jurisdiction that controls it, unless it's federal. Federal, they can build that shit on you anywhere. If you're doing crimes from state to state, they might charge you in New York, but they'll use everything from all around to prosecute you and probably still send you to another district to be prosecuted there. So people, this I-card is put against me for a complaint for allegations that were dismissed in New Jersey 4 days before my ex made this complaint. Now, this officer, this stupid piece of shit he is, and people, I try not to curse, but I like to call a spade, even though he's white. I like to call a spade. And this guy this detective should lose his job. He's a homicide detective, and as a homicide detective, people, this man should not be falsifying misdemeanor complaints against domestic violence victims. Let me say something to you truthfully. If a homicide detective is willing to falsify a complaint against a domestic violence victim to make him look guilty for his female offender, what do you think he's doing with drug cases and murders, people? He's framing them too. Anybody who has been arrested by this detective in the last 5 years should seriously pay attention to my case. Because I can tell you something, this detective completely falsified an arresting complaint against me. He issued an I-card based on the fact that I made false reports in the state of New Jersey. So either he's stupid and he doesn't know his job, or he did it intentionally because he wanted to have me arrested. And people, I'm more inclined to believe it's the latter. So people, I'm arrested for crimes in New Jersey, and it takes him about 6 months to arrest me, people, because I live in New Jersey, and I-card is not a warrant, people. But now I come to court on May 16th of 2022 for a family court matter, and people, I'm arrested out of this family court matter for the December 7th I-card, based on the December 5th complaint that states that I allegedly was falsely reporting her in the state of New Jersey. Let me tell you how ignorant this stupid racist detective was, people, and how lazy he was, because that's the key. He was lazy. So people, now I'm detained. And when you're detained under an I-card in New York City issued by a detective, that detective who detains you has to write what's called a complaint. And that complaint is going to be reviewed by the prosecutor and the judge for probable cause and verification to hold you. So this idiot, after 5 months, never found a credible reason to arrest me. Because here's the truth, people. I hadn't done anything to my ex. I won the order of protection, people. I stayed the frick away from this woman. I didn't want anything to do with her. So now I'm detained, people, and this idiot has a problem. He can't process me through the system by using her December 5th complaint to say that I falsely reported her in New Jersey, because a judge is going to look at that and say, this happened in New Jersey? What the hell is this guy doing here? Dismissed. The Richmond County District Attorney's Office needed me prosecuted, people. They needed me to be the villain, and they needed her to be the victim. So what this idiot, racist, dickhead, disgusting piece of shit human being, and people, I use that language because that's what I personally feel this cop is. He's a complete, degenerate, pathological liar who needs to lose his badge. Because if he falsified a complaint against a domestic violence victim for a domestic violence misdemeanor offense, you better believe he's doing it to murder suspects and drug suspects. You better believe he's falsifying evidence. And he completely falsified a complaint against me. So people, on May 16th, he realizes that I can't be detained for this. So what he does is he goes back to a previous I-card of a detective that I reported to IAB for racial bias and procedural due process violations. Now, people, this detective was investigated, and although the detective's investigation was dismissed as unfounded, I put enough light on this detective's racism where he was forced to dismiss my I-card because he couldn't arrest me with all of the stuff my ex had did, knowing she did it, and then try to arrest me for something similar based on responding to things she was doing to violate the order. So what this detective did, considering that I got his homeboy in another precinct in trouble, is he decided to use his homeboy's affidavit and the information where the homeboy from another precinct a year and a half ago tried to arrest me, and just copy it and make it seem like it was from the 120, so I would be arrested. Now, people, if you don't call that racial discrimination, if we don't call that misconduct where an officer falsifies charges against someone by borrowing previously closed out charges against a possible defendant from another precinct, violating NYPD procedures just to detain that person, people, you have a problem. And that's what happened to me. And if I can sit in front of you with an active case in the Eastern District of New York where multiple detectives from Staten Island have been enjoined and tell you that I was falsely arrested, and those cops being named in a civil lawsuit, people, I can't be lying. Let me explain something to you about when you sue a municipality or you sue anyone who is protected by absolute or qualified immunity. For those of you who don't know what those two types of immunities are, I'll break it down to you real quick. Absolute immunity means that it doesn't matter what that bastard does, they will not get in trouble. And that's what prosecutors are afforded. This is why prosecutors are the biggest scumbags on the planet, because people, they literally have protections for lying on you and setting you up. A prosecutor can falsify evidence against you. A prosecutor can lie on you in the stand. A prosecutor can pretty much do anything they want to you during the course of a prosecution. It can be illegal and they will get away with it. because of this immunity, this absolute immunity, the doctrine that is created by the state to protect their workers and their prosecutors, protects these people from personal liability when they do something wrong. This is why so many people like myself can say that they were wrong by prosecutors, because people, here's the truth. Prosecutors wrong people every day just to get cases, people. The biggest pieces of shit in the legal profession are prosecutors. And this is the truth. And I don't say this because I hate prosecutors. I don't hate prosecutors. I hate corrupt prosecutors. I hate unethical prosecutors. I hate lying prosecutors. But I don't hate a prosecutor because his job is to prosecute people. Ladies and gentlemen, studying the law for the last 3 or 4 years, I realized society has rules and it has an order. Life has rules. Life's rules has to be followed. If you can't follow life's rules, you're going to lose. And it doesn't matter in what arena that is, people. Even if you're illegal and you're in the street, people, the street has rules. And if you break the rules of the street, you end up dead or you end up in jail. Much like in a good corporate position or a good job, people, you get a good job making $100,000 a year, you better believe that that company has an operational guide and it has what's called an employee code of conduct. It has an an operating agreement. Thank you. If you violate your employee contract, if you violate anything within the company's operating agreement, people, you're going to get fired. You're going to lose your job. You're going to be liable unless there's something in that operating agreement that grants you the immunity from losing your job or consequences because you're protected by whatever that statute is. And this is what happens with cops. So people, the only way to get a cop to answer for wronging you is to get him named in a federal lawsuit. And that's not easy, people. You can't just file a lawsuit naming a cop because cops have qualified immunity. Prosecutors have absolute immunity. So normally, when you have to sue for misconduct, which is called the 1983 civil action, and when you're suing a municipality, it's probably a Monell claim, Monell versus the Department of Social Services. When you file these actions, you have to sue the entity that these people work for. You can't sue them in their individual capacities because people, guess what? They're protected by the immunity, either absolute or qualified. If you can file a motion after your initial plan is confirmed, even when your initial plan is confirmed, you can include enough facts and specificity to establish on the surface of the complaint that the officer more than likely violated his investigative or his administrative duties while he was in the course of doing whatever he did to you, you just pierced qualified immunity, and people, that cop is now personally liable for his own actions. And I tell you this to make a point. My lawsuit was originally Howard versus the city of New York. It's not anymore, people. Now it's Howard versus 3 NYPD detectives who were involved in falsely arresting me. People, I didn't do that by just adding these detectives' names to a complaint. I had to provide evidence, people. I had to provide documents. I had to provide supporting documentation, supporting evidence to establish that something happened with these officers. Now, people, I filed an amendment trying to get 8 people added. And I'll be honest, everyone wasn't added. I still have a lot of work to do to pierce the qualified immunity of 2 district attorney's office officials that are completely responsible and liable in the conspiracy that was initiated by my ex-girlfriend to frame me and diminish my credibility as her domestic violence victim. So people, I lost out on the DA's office, and I'm going to have to file another motion once the city finally complies with my discovery, people, and I can prove that these 2 women did this, because I already know they did it. My ex-girlfriend has testified in court talking about what these women did. So once I can get the discovery from the city, I'm just going to use her sworn testimony in other states to completely jam these women for what I know they did. And then, people, this is not about revenge. This is about justice. Because anybody who works in law enforcement responsible for helping victims shouldn't be framing innocent victims because their homegirl or their friend happens to be the offender. And that's what happened to me on Staten Island. See, people, my ex knew these women. They were friends of hers. And they didn't want her to have a criminal record and have to pay for what she did to me because they didn't like me. So what they did was they used their positions in the district attorney's office, in the family justice center, hell, even with the police department people, to delete my complaints, withhold information about me being the victim, people. This happened. And for so long, people didn't believe me, people, but I can finally sit here with an air of confidence and a great, great feeling of relief that I've finally been validated, people. There's no way that I would have been able to draft a motion to amend and add these detectives without having evidence they did it. So people, well, what I summarize right now is that I have successfully joined 3 NYPD detectives in the city of New York in the federal action against the city of New York that involves the actions of my ex-girlfriend who framed me after I won a domestic violence restraining order by falsely reporting the same allegations that were dismissed in the state of New Jersey to biased and racist officers on Staten Island so they could arrest an innocent black man. People, that's really all of the validation I need, because with these detectives being enjoined, it poses a question. My ex was the keynote speaker in Staten Island District Attorney's Office's National Crime Victims' Rights Week event of 2003. The question that I posed with the amendment, the order that was granted enjoining 3 detectives, is what vetting was done by the Staten Island Family Justice Center or Safe Horizon to verify my ex was a victim. Who investigated her? Who looked at the allegations she presented to see if they were a lie? Because see, people, here's what I know. I know at the time of her speech, she had been indicted for felony charges in Essex County. I know at the time of her speech, she had been not only found liable for violating New Jersey's Prevention of Domestic Violence Act, her appeal had been dismissed, people. So that's an active prosecution. A final order of protection was against her for life with a 1,000-foot keep away, and an appeal that's been dismissed. That's like a murder suspect who's caught with the gun, who's caught with the person's head in the car, and who's caught with the skin under their fingernails, and who's been convicted, going to the DA's office and talking about the rights of murder victims. It's the same thing. So people, you need to ask yourself, are the employees, the women, the men of the Staten Island District Attorney's Office, Safe Horizon, the Family Justice Center, are they just poorly trained individuals, or are they operating under principles of bias, racism, and the old boy mentality of Staten Island law enforcement, where if you know the right people, you can get somebody arrested and prosecuted? We have to ask ourselves the question why the DA's office of Staten Island would put a woman who had been indicted, who had a final restraining order against her for life, where she had to stay 1,000 feet away from her offender, and where her appeal got denied. We have to ask ourselves the questions how the DA's office supported this. Now let's go even further, audience. The case they arrested me for was dismissed. Both of them, people. The order of protection that they ignored was active for almost 5 years, people. And the only reason it was dismissed is because my ex-girlfriend was never arrested for the fraudulent activity she was committing on Staten Island. See, she used Staten Island as her base because she knew Staten Island law enforcement would never arrest her as long as the racist district attorney hated me. So people, what she did was alter third-party transcripts, submit falsified police reports and petitions, and people, why would she stop doing it if she knows she's being protected by the DA? Here's the truth, people. I was arrested multiple times as the victim in an order of protection, never doing anything to the alleged offender. The alleged offender, who had an order of protection against her for 5 years, people, was not arrested one time. Well, actually, let me be correct. She was arrested, she never spent the night in jail, and she never wore a charge. People, there's a massive amount of evidence against her. How do you explain that? How do you explain with evidence to substantiate she falsified information to ACS workers, that she took the third-party transcript belonging to another individual, filed family court petitions in 2 states, and presented it to a state prosecutor's office after admitting in another transcript that she read it and she knew it wasn't me? Why is she not in jail for evidence tampering? Why is she not in jail for public records fraud, people? Why has this woman never been charged? I'm going to tell you why, people. And it's not hard to see because you're looking right at me. It's because I'm a black male. I'm an African-American male. And see, in the eyes of a racist or a biased law enforcement system, people, my skin color means I can never be a victim. And in the eyes of the Staten Island District Attorney, Mike Mann, my black ass couldn't be no victim, people. I could only be an offender. I could only be a scumbag who deserved to go to jail. It didn't matter if I had a mountain of evidence on Francyna Evins. The racism of Staten Island would never grant me my victim rights. So, people, I smartened up. I opened the market up, people, as Jay-Z said, and I went back to school. And people, I learned how to hold these bastards accountable. You don't want to be a man. You don't want to admit that I was wrong. You don't want to give me an apology for falsely arresting me. Fine, fuck you. I'm going to sue you in federal court, and I'm going to get a federal judge to help me make you admit to everything you did. Since you don't want to be a respectable enough human being to realize that you hurt another person who was innocent, I'm going to do it by enacting everything I know regarding federal rules of civil procedure and federal civil process, and I'm going to make you liable for everything. That's my mission. I am not on a mission of revenge, people. Revenge I've learned that revenge is something that destroys you. You'll never, ever win pursuing someone for revenge, because in revenge, the grave you dig for someone else, you will fall in. And this is a fact. You can't spend years of your life trying to destroy someone and think that karma is not going to swing back around you. People, it is. And when it comes back for you, you are going to pay horribly. And I've seen it happen. People, I've seen so many people who've lied on people, who got people sent to jail, who robbed people. And I know so many people who are spending the rest of their lives in jail or dead because they did these things. So people, it doesn't pay to be a scumbag. It doesn't pay to be a racist. It doesn't pay to be biased. People, what it pays to be is a good person who tells the truth and does the right thing. We think when people go into law enforcement, cops, judges, advocates, that these are people who want to do the right thing. The last 4 to 5 years of my life has shown me the truth, people. No, they're not. They're just like us. They're human beings. They're motivated by their own ambitions, by their own personal preferences, by their own personal biases. And people, when people are controlled by personal emotion, where there's nothing to, where there's nothing to regulate the personal bias, the personal opinions of people, you're going to have corruption and misconduct. And unfortunately, that's the case on Staten Island. This is why I was falsely arrested for multiple crimes that the prosecution knew I never did, people. The prosecution on Staten Island knew their case was so weak, they were trying the entire time to convince my lawyer to get me to cop out, because they knew they could never take me to trial, people. I had just won a trial in the state of New Jersey. So they were hoping that I would be so flustered by the arrest that I would just cop out. And that would have been the stupidest thing I ever did, because people, if I had copped out to anything they offered me without being able to sue, my ex would have re-reported me in 2 weeks to try to have me sent to jail. And people, I'm positive of it, because the bitch is that thirsty for revenge. Now, people, here's the truth. A lot of women on Staten Island wouldn't support me, because women support this type of activity from other women. A woman who lies on men, a woman who falsifies report, there are millions of men out there, women who are hurt by men every day. And they support other women who can get revenge on a man who has hurt them. And ladies, I'm going to tell you something. That's wrong. You shouldn't be supporting any woman who lies on a man just because she got hurt by a man. Because the truth of the matter is, you don't really know what this woman has done. Who's this? Oh, I have someone who's stalking me, calling me a liar. And it's somebody named Data with Dez. Well, I can't be lying, Data with Dez. You're a loser. And clearly you're just somebody who's watching me. And that's okay. You can watch me. Because I'm going to tell you something, hater. Your friend, Francyna, I know she's your friend, because clearly that's why you're watching me. I even know where you're watching me, because you're watching my channel. And I'm glad you are. Because you're so stupid, you don't know what's going on right now. You're about to be exposed. So you keep watching me and send the message to whoever you want. See, here's the truth, people. My ex-girlfriend was convicted after a trial where all of the facts were adjudicated, people. And just because she lied and got the order dismissed, it doesn't dismiss the previous adjudication, people. My ex-girlfriend claims that I lied on her with false reports of child abuse. Well, people, I now have easy pass records to establish that my child was not in New Jersey at the time this woman came. And people, I am so waiting to catch her with this shit, because see, people, now she's going to have to answer. Now the court is going to have to issue a subpoena for her Uber and Lyft accounts, because see, people, now the court needs to know the truth. I have easy pass records. I have multiple witnesses that can prove the child was in Newark, and not in Newark, in Brooklyn. And there's no way that my lying ass ex-girlfriend could have been holding that child at 11:50. So people, for all the Francyna porters out there who are watching me right now, like this dusty ass bitch who calls herself Data with Dez, bitch, you're a loser. Go suck a dick and get the fuck out of my face. You can suck a dick, because you're, excuse my language, people, but I just hate disgusting people like this. As a matter of fact, I'm not even going to respond to you, because I just know you're some loser woman who's stalking me, because the truth is, you're probably mad that I want absolutely nothing to do with your corny ass or my ex-girlfriend. So bye. Now next, people. See, that's what we do with lames. We just block them. See, people, facts, paper doesn't lie. Transcript doesn't lie. Corny people like this Data with Dez, she lies, people. And you can stay in the comments. I don't care. I'm just going to block you. That's how it works. So people, here's the truth. You think I'm a liar? You can look up in the federal courts and look up the actions. If you think I'm a liar, look up the actions. Anyone who wants to see a transcript, anyone who'd like me to provide the information to prove that my ex-girlfriend is a pathological liar, see, people, I'm going to get paid for it regardless. So I don't really hate her as much as I should hate her, because I'm going to get paid for it. And I'm positive I'm going to get paid for it, because they've already tried to pay me just to drop the action, so all of these officers and people of position are not exposed. But see, people, when you have to fix a problem, when you truly need justice to happen, you can't simply just drop charges. You can't take the money because the money doesn't fix the problem. The money fixes the problem for me. But what about the dozens of men this happened to every day? Where women like my disgusting loser ex-girlfriend who are mad that no one wants them just lies through their teeth and tries to get innocent men arrested. This is the problem, people, where men and like myself in these positions, instead of us simply doing the right thing, instead of us having the courage to go forward and see it all the way through to the end, people, we don't do that. We take the money and we run. People, I'm not taking the money. I want to make sure that every one of these lying detectives, every one of these lying people who worked in the prosecutor's office paid. People, I don't even give a damn about my broke loser ex-girlfriend. She's a lame, people, and she's going to stay that way her whole life, because if you can devote this much time to stalking somebody, you clearly have no life. People, I got 3 years of law school in. I've been traveling the world. I broke up with this woman in 2021. People, I've been to 6 different countries. She's been nowhere. She's been in New Jersey, and maybe she might have went to Virginia. She's still wearing the same Tory Burch flats I bought her in 2001. She's still wearing the Apple Watch I bought her for Christmas in 2021. People, she's still using the damn computer I bought her. Clearly, no man cares about you enough to upgrade you because you're still stalking your ex-boyfriend. And I see that. So I'm cool, people, and I'm living my life. I don't even focus on her. I focus on the officials who violated me. That's who Clayton is after. Clayton's not after his ex-girlfriend, because the truth is my ex-girlfriend is broke and she's a loser. The only thing she can keep doing is coming after me, because the truth is she's jealous, she's a loser. And I see that. So giving her any energy is not my worth. Now, however, those cops that falsely arrested me, you bet your ass I'm after them. The system that violated my rights and tried to keep things from me and tried to falsely arrest me, you're right, I'm after them. The daughter's mother who falsified allegations against me because she was mad I wanted nothing to do to her, her stupid ass was actually dumb enough, people. This is how pathetic women who do this type of stuff is. My daughter's mother was so pathetic. She didn't even know I was traveling the world, people. She didn't know I left the country. She still thought I was in New Jersey. So sometime in April, she files a report, complete lie, and says that I came to her house and I posted naked pictures from her house to the internet. Now, people, here's the best part about traveling and not telling people where you are. They can't locate you to lie on you. So this dummy lies on me and tells the cops that I did something on April 29th of 2026. And guess what, people? On April 29th of 2026, I was in fucking Colombia. Colombia, not Columbia, South Carolina, people. Colombia, the country, in Medellin. And I didn't come back until the 1st of May. So how could I be in the Bronx at 9 o'clock in the morning doing anything, people, when I'm in Colombia at 9 o'clock in the morning? People, Colombia is a 4-hour flight from New York to, actually it's about 5 hours from New York to Colombia. People, it's about a week trip. Nah, I'm lying. It's about a 2-week trip on a boat. There's no way you can drive to Colombia. There's no way you can take a train. There's only 2 ways to get to Colombia. One is by boat, one is by plane. So people, there's no way I could be in the Bronx at 9 o'clock in the morning if I'm in Medellin at 9 o'clock in the morning. There's no way. But see, my idiot daughter's mother thought that she was gonna lie me into a jail cell. And people, I'll be honest, they arrested me. But oh, people, are they fucking dead? They shaking now, because see, now they see the truth. They saw my passport. They saw the immigration records. People, I was not here. How is she making a sworn statement stating that I was here on this date and I wasn't? And people, here's the best part. I wasn't here any time around 10 days of the time she reported. People, there's no way I did it. So now, people, I get falsely arrested again, people. But this time I'm not angry. This time I understand civil process. This time I understand how things work. So yeah, people, I got arrested. But you know what I did as soon as I got out of jail? The first thing I did was send a FOIA request to the 83rd Precinct asking for the body cam footage of all those officers. I had the person with me write an affidavit. And people, I just went right to work, because now, having been falsely arrested and violated so many times, people, I don't get mad when the cops do something. I just get to work when I get back to a computer. And people, these same officers who talked so much shit a couple of weeks ago in June, now they want to apologize. You should have thought about that before you arrested me on a lie. See, people, here's the truth, and here's the whole point of this podcast. If you are a male victim of domestic violence, and I'll even say some women, rare situation, but some women, never expect fairness from the system. If you're a male victim of domestic violence, expect every bitter, disgusting woman who does this to men to support your offender, not because she's a victim, because there is a coalition of lying ass bitches out there that support other lying ass bitches because they know this is the thing they do, and they can't have a fellow sister in corruption get exposed because it's going to make it harder for them to get away with it. So a lot of times when you see women in these positions where they're going and they're saying, oh, support her, support this one, they're just loser ass bitches who's trying to keep the lion hoe movement alive. That's the truth. So if you're a man out there, even a woman, I speak for women because I don't totally speak against women in matters like this because women can be falsely reported too. But it doesn't happen. Well, actually, let me not say it. It does happen often. It happens to both people. I don't want to seem like I'm biased just because my lying-ass ex-girlfriend falsely reported me. I want people to know the truth of the thing for what it actually is. And people, a lie is a lie. Actually, let me screenshot these messages so I can take these to the cops tomorrow. Okay, so let me get all of this. I am very, very happy with these responses because now that I actually have the cops working with me to expose who these people are, I'm just going to give all of this to the police. So I'm actually feeling great. I knew this was a good idea. Thank you. Yeah, this is definitely someone who's just trying to hate on me. People, how do you have people following you from the same accounts just trying to hate on you? Life is great, people. But I thank you, stupid motherfuckers who responded, because the great part about this is the very accounts you use to make these are connected to IP addresses and hardware accounts. And you dumb motherfucker, you're going to jail because I know who this is. I'm so happy, people, that I'm going to cut this broadcast short so I can get on this right now because I actually know who this is and I can get on this right now. So, people, the whole point of this podcast is to not allow the BS to deter you. With some focus, with some discipline, with some knowledge, you too can expose your offender and the lying cops who may have violated your civil rights. It's hard to do a prosecutor, people, but we're going to get there. But the cops, you can get them as long as you have evidence to prove what they did to you. For Demonic, for Francyna, you loser, corny ass bitches, keep following my social media, keep lying, keep doing all that shit. You broke bum chicks are going to be the same losers who's watching me when this shit is over. You keep stalking, you keep lying. I'm going to take these messages with this IP address to the police first thing in the morning, and we're going to get subpoenas to find out which one of you loser ass chicks is still stalking me. And it's sad. People, it's been 5 years. And clearly, people, you can call me a sex worker, but I must have some really great dick if women can't leave me alone after 5 years with no contact and me wanting nothing to do with them. I must be somewhat special, people. God protects his own, people. Anyway, have a great night. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy life. And remember, people, just because you're down today, don't mean you'll be down tomorrow. Somebody can lie and have you arrested. And people, the thing about a liar who has you falsely arrested is it's a short victory, people. Unless they're setting you up for a murder case or something that's going to put you in jail for years, people, if someone lies on you with an order of protection, you're going to do a night in jail and get out. It's not the end of the world. It gives these loser, pathetic people just some temporary satisfaction to think they got you. You need to learn how to file federal lawsuits and hold the officers who falsely arrest you accountable. Because believe you me, and this is the truth, no cop wants to lose his job, lose his career, damage his career path, his ambitions for a lying ass bitch. No, when they're dragged into federal court, people, they tell the truth. They submit the body cams. They give the emails. They want the court to believe that they believe this person. And in doing that, they expose the person who lied on you. So you can keep watching me, you two loser ass bitches. Your ass is mine. On behalf of Justice and Operation Rock, people, this is what you do. You don't get mad. You don't get violent, people. You get disciplined, you sit back, and you learn. And you do everything in your power to use your natural God-given gifts to develop the skills to stop the people who are trying to hurt you. People, I have not become such an effective litigator because, just because I wanted to. People, I've been forced to do this by complete necessity because law enforcement refused to honor my victim rights, because prosecutors used information I had and then just disregarded me like I didn't matter because I was a black man, and black men can't be victims. We can only be offenders. People, I got tired of it. I got smarter, I got wiser, and I learned how to deal with these people. And I won't call them white people because the law profession is not only white people. These biased, disgusting individuals in their own language, which is the law. And people, that's how I'm going to deal with them from now on, people. I got stalkers right now, people. I've had these 2 chicks stalking me for 5 years. They're fucking pathetic, people. And it's really sad. But see, people, one thing I learned about life and just everything, people, is that God protects his own. All you have to do is be real enough with yourself, people, and things are going to work in your favor. It doesn't matter. A million people can hate on you. But if you're telling the truth and you're doing the right thing, a day is going to come when you're going to be able to hold your head high and laugh at all of those people. You go right ahead. You keep wasting your life harassing me, stalking me, trying to lie on me. What are you going to do when your whole shit falls apart? You know who I'm talking about. So people, again, it is what it is, people. As you can see, the man who sits before you is not the same person who was here a year ago, people. And I feel great about that. I've learned so much. I've become so effective, people. I feel great, people. I haven't felt this good since I won the first time I boxed. I haven't. I feel great, people. The greatest accomplishment of the last 3 years of my life was getting these officers who falsely arrested me named in this complaint. And see, people, if you look at my comments, you'll see one hating ass bitch up here. That's one of my ex-girlfriends right there. They can keep watching my social media praying for something. What you should be doing is saving your money and making connections. Because, bitch, you're going to jail once these cops have to answer for what they did. They're going to arrest you guys because they know you guys are lying. So you keep going right ahead and don't worry. I'll make sure to send your stupid ass a nice postcard in jail when they finally catch you. And people, they are. You can't lie to cops and cops get sued and municipalities get in trouble and you think nothing's going to happen to you. If the cops get sued because you lied to them, even if they don't like even if they don't like the person you lied on, people, they're going to come back for you because nobody wants to get their ass whooped for the lies of another person. And that's what I've learned, people. So on behalf of justice, a mother who loved me, people, and just the ability to say, fuck sucker, people, I'm Clayton. God is so good, people. God is so good. And I thank God every day for a mother who loved me enough to encourage me to never give up on books. Because it's the only reason I'm sitting here right now, people. The only reason I'm sitting here right now is because I had the common sense and the intelligence to one day wake up and say enough is enough, people. I'm not going to live like this anymore. I'm not going to allow myself to be the victim of racism and bias any longer. And it took a couple of years, people, but I can confidently say, that I am able to deal with my problem now. So I'm going to say it, and I'm going to be done. You two lame-ass bitches, you know who I'm talking about? Come with it. I got your ass now. On behalf of Justice and Operation Rock, this is Clayton. People, stay tuned. You're about to see a lot of interesting shit. Have a great day. Why did you start off? That's interesting. Sorry again, people.